Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have a playoff series. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. You know, the Knicks came out in game one, handled their business, and it was only right that Cleveland would come in game two with a completely different game plan. They were a lot more aggressive. They were a lot more physical. And the Knicks were just a step slower, to be honest with you, for the most part of the game. And as a result, Cleveland came away with a victory, and now we have a series tied. Going back to the Garden, which I'm looking forward to. Now, if you remember this season, guys, you know that the Knicks are not a very good home team, but I'm a little bit faithful. I'm a little bit hopeful. I think, you know, the energy that the Garden fans will provide will completely change the outlook of what's happened in the past this regular season. But first and foremost, if you're new to the channel and you're liking what you're watching, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about it, guys. So where do we begin, right? Because there were a lot of things that I wasn't really happy about watching this game. From Tom Thibodeau mismanaging his players in their minutes, playing Julius Randle the entire second and third quarter. That's one thing. Was it R.J. Barrett basically having no impact on this game or no impact in this playoff series thus far at all? Is it Emmanuel Quickley being a no-show? There's a lot of different factors that contributed to why we lost this game. But let's start with Tom Thibodeau. Now, I can give Tom Thibodeau credit for, you know, his game one plan, right? Solid. But as a coach with some playoff experience, you have to know that the other coach on the opposite end is going to make his adjustments. So you have to be ready with your counter adjustments, if you will. And there were none. At least I didn't see any. And as a result, we lost and we got pretty much smacked in our mouth, you know, to be honest, to be quite frank. And if we're going to have any hopes of having any real success in this playoff series, we're going to have to make the proper adjustments as well. But I'm hopeful that we will make the right adjustments going back home. But, you know, I would be lying to myself if I didn't say the real reason why we lost this game. And I got to give credit where credit is due. And that is that man, Darius Garland. He was electric out there, scoring 26 points in the first half, had a few assists, but he didn't have any worries about that because his boy Donovan Mitchell racked up a total of 13 assists. So he was out there playing more of the point guard role. And again, he was just on fire. He was very aggressive from the jump. You know, his the comparison of his game one performance with his game two performance was night and day. He was a completely different guy out there. He was on a mission to attack the hole, attack the basket. 60% from the field, 66% from three, 90% from the free throw line. He's a very good free throw shooter. We know that. Plus 22 overall. So he was on point. He was the best player on the floor. There's no arguing that. And I think the main reason why Cleveland won was because of Darius Garland. But again, we had our own issues, right? One thing that I didn't like what was transpiring out there was the fact that I noticed a lot of complaining going on, right? Now, usually when we see guys complaining on this team, we know very well that it's Julius Randle that's usually doing most of the complaining. But I'm looking around, right? I'm seeing Jalen complaining. I'm seeing Josh Hart complaining. I'm seeing Julius complaining. I'm seeing so many guys, you know, talking to the refs. And as a result, they kind of look soft out there. You know, Cleveland, again, they came out more aggressive. They came out more physical. And the Knicks just couldn't match that energy. Now, I'm not saying that the Knicks weren't getting hit out there. It was a very physical game. You know, some guys shedding blood even, right? But at a certain point, you have to get yourself out of that moment and realize that, okay, yeah, the calls are not coming our way, but there's still a game happening in real time. So we got to get back on the next play, get our heads in the game. And I saw too many guys, you know, holding their heads and basically detaching themselves from what was going on in that moment during the game. So, you know, I just don't like to see that kind of, you know, play. I just like guys to, you know, take it on the chin, get back on the next play and have some better success that way. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, again, I mentioned, you know, Emmanuel Quickley being a no-show and RJ having no impact, but we're going to need more production period from guys other than Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart, who were obviously the stars of game one. Now, talking about Emmanuel Quickley, this is a bit shocking to me because if we go back to the last few games of the regular season, Emmanuel Quickley, I believe, was averaging something like 27 points. And to see Emmanuel Quickley so far in this game one and game two of this series, he's a no-show. He doesn't seem to know where to go, what to do at times, and he just looks very tentative out there, indecisive, not knowing when to take shots. I'm hoping that the energy of the Garden, when he comes back home, he'll have a completely different game. So I'm confident with Quick. But with RJ, this is something that we've been seeing happen all season long. He doesn't impact the game, right? Look at most of the players on the team, right? You look at Jalen Brunson. Obviously, he's the commander, right? He controls the possessions. He facilitates the rock. He knows how to get players in the right positions. And he's a baller. He knows how to score. Go to Quentin Grimes, lockdown defender. A pretty good three-point shooter. He should be better than what he is statistically, but he's a 3-and-D guy, right? That's his role. Mitchell Robinson, defensive anchor, right? Rebounder, blocker. Julius Randle, all-star, scorer, can, give you points from anywhere on the floor. And then we get to RJ Barrett, and I question, what is he good at, right? What is his role? What do we know that, just like I said, with like Grimes, 3-and-D, Mitchell, defensive anchor, what is his role? I'm watching this game, and there were a few moments when I'm like, okay, I need more of that. And that was when RJ was in transition. Now, how do we have more transition opportunities? You have to have guys like Obi out there who are stretching the floor. This is why we notice whenever RJ plays with the second unit, he tends to thrive more because it's more of a run and gun offense. When you have Jalen Brunson out there, who I'm not saying take off the floor, it becomes more of a half-court situation, and RJ Barrett is just in the corner or on the side waiting to get his turn, right? When those guys go out, he takes on more of an authoritative role, right? But again, I'm looking at anytime he shoots the basketball, I'm like, that's not going in, that's not going in. So what can he provide to the game that's going to change the outcome of, whether it's a win or loss? I don't know. He has to get his head right. I expect him to play better as well. I have more faith in Quickly than I do RJ. But again, this has been happening all season. He has to, this offseason, regardless of what happens in the playoffs this year, he has to work on his game completely. Excuse for game one playing terrible, but again, and what's any indication that he's going to do any different in game three? We can only hope. But again, this is our number 3 pick, right? He's supposed to be playing a lot better than this, right? But I digress. Let's hear what Julius Randle has to say in the post game.
I don't think they bullied us. They just responded to our physicality. That's what you're supposed to do. In a playoff game, we came and took care of business game one, and they responded. We weren't expecting this series to be over in 4, whatever it is. We just take it a game at a time, so we just got to adjust, and we'll be fine.
I'm sure they'll be fine. This happens. It's a playoff series, right? This is what happens. One team plays good, the other team makes adjustments, they win, you go back and forth. So this is what playoff basketball is all about, right? It's not going to be an easy pathway. You're going to have some lumps. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to dig deep into your soul and figure out how to dig yourself out of a situation, out of a ditch. So, am I confident that they'll have a better performance in game 3? Sure. But, the issues that are pointed out are definitely holes in our armor that we definitely have to figure out if we're going to have any hopes of winning this series. One last thing before I go, talking about Tom Thibodeau, I mentioned him at the beginning of the video. It's just his mismanagement of players. He had Julius Randle play the entire second and third quarter, right? I don't know I forget the reason why he pulled Julius Randle in the first quarter, but it was surprising because Julius got pulled like literally 5 minutes into the first quarter. And I'm like, wow, I never seen that before. Here comes Obi, and Obi finishes the rest of the quarter. And then begins the second quarter, Julius Randle starts, finishes out the second quarter, and he finishes out the third quarter. We don't see Obi until the beginning of the fourth quarter in meaningless minutes because the game was already lost at that point. So I'm wondering, what was the criteria for having Julius Randle play the second and third quarter? I didn't get it. Especially in the second quarter when Julius was making so many egregious errors. turning the ball over, not playing defense. That boy Evan Mobley was giving him the business, man. Like, Tibbs, what are you doing? Like, give him a rest or, do something different. And, we continue to see the same Julius turn the ball over, make mistakes. And that was a large part of the reason why this game got out of hand. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, right? Julius Randle comes into the game. They're losing by like 20 points at this point. Julius Randle comes into the game with like 5 minutes left. And then there was a play where he almost got hurt. And, we talked about, Knicks fans know this very well. If anyone knows Tom Thibodeau, he is, has a reputation of overplaying his guys, put them in the situations, and they end up getting hurt. Julius Randle seemed to avoid a significant injury. And this could have been avoided if he was just sitting, But, that's Tibbs. I guess we shouldn't be surprised there. But, going into game 3, guys, there's a lot of things that I need to see change. I need to see, other guys have more of an impact on his game, namely Emmanuel Quickley, namely R.J. Barrett. Tibbs has to manage his minutes with the players more because he's going to burn these guys out before we even get to a game 6 or game 7. So I'm confident we'll have a different, outlook, and hopefully we make the proper adjustments. But this wasn't a pretty game to watch. Not at all. But that's going to be all for the video, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think we can take game 3 easily? Do you think this was a fluke? Or are these issues that I brought up something that we need to be concerned about? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Catch you on the rebound. Peace.